don't you be afraid. Everything will change. You and I, jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die. So come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we'll make it through. We're climbing, we're soaring. We're rising, we're falling, we'll make it through. We're climbing, we're soaring. Somewhere by the emerald sea, where the moon and water meet. Somewhere close to harmony, when the world is sound asleep. Something's gonna bring a change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away. Come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we'll make it through.
Happy Wednesday.
Same to you. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you? I know where you are. Where am I? I think I'm in your kitchen.
Oh, I knew it looked familiar.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Wisconsin again, Deweese.
Thank you.
This year you don't have to travel back and forth to the hospital.
No kidding. That was a long summer.
Yeah.
It's gonna be better this summer.
Yep, definitely. We're doing things this year.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we've got a good guest tonight. I'm just going to say hi quick to everybody that's on time in the chat. Kramer, of course, was number one. She's sweating her butt off down in Texas also with our guest, I think, down in that area. Bill H. Nightbot is here. Hey, Nightbot. Joe Adele. Karen. Scuba. Hey, Scuba. Let's see. Where is Paramom?
I don't know. Where is
Looks
Paramount?
like that's all we got right now in the chat. We got everybody else just watching. So
They're probably out flying.
yeah, but we got a couple more
Nice
out
weather.
there. But hey, so what do you think of the Wisconsin weather this year? Are you freezing?
No, I'm not freezing this year, but I'm getting awfully wet. It's rained every day.
Pretty much. And the mosquitoes are eating me alive.
Yeah. It's just rained a lot. And other than that, the temperature's been nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to meet this young whippersnapper?
I do.
Okay. All right, let's
Looks
meet
interesting.
Kyle. Hello, Kyle.
Good evening.
Hi, Kyle.
So where are you?
I'm in baking hot Texas, Dallas.
You're in Dallas. Okay.
And I say baking hot, it hasn't even gotten hot yet.
Yeah, well, you were telling me it hasn't really even hit, or it has hit the three digits, or it has not.
Almost.
Almost.
We're right on the cusp.
Okay.
Give it a few more weeks.
Kramer is, I'm not sure which way she is from you, but she went to
She's southeast of him.
southeast. Oh, okay.
Pretty south.
And I think the other night she showed me she was at 100 degrees. So
Yeah.
she went to school at Lone Star
Oh, yeah.
in San Antonio area.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
may just be south, dead south of him.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
so.
okay.
Straight down the highway.
Yeah.
Okay. And John Wayne's in here. Joseph's here. Jayland. Welcome, guys. Hey, I talked to John Wayne yesterday on the phone. He called me and I had to call him back. He's looking to come to our fly-in June 28th, 29th, and 30th. He's going to do some muskie fishing up here because this is his stomping grounds from when he was younger. So he's familiar with this area up here. And then we find out talking to Kyle, he kind of is from this area also. His up north was just south of here where my uncle lives down in Wisconsin Rapids area. So down to Rome. And Deweese, that's where we're going possibly next weekend after the EAA meeting at our airport.
It's a small world.
Yeah.
It really is.
You
So-
discover how small it is. I feel like as you get older and you meet more folks, you realize how much smaller the world actually is. You know,
It really, that's the truth.
and
Yeah.
aviation itself is even crazier how small that world is too. So
Yep, that's true.
All right. So, where do you want to start? How did you get into aviation?
yeah, I thought that's a good place to kick it off.
Okay.
So let's rewind about 2008, 2009, high school. Or actually, yeah, high school.
Okay. How old are you now? Because you look 12.
Because I even left a little bit of a shadow on it. I'm 30. I
Okay.
just crossed the magic 30. It feels
Aw.
weird. I lost my 20s, but I feel I had a pretty good decade. So, so 30 years old. I've been in aviation. Officially got my licenses in 2012. I got into aviation kind of born into aviation addicted family. So I am the only pilot in the family, but I grew up at a skydiving airport with my parents. Both my parents were skydivers of thousands and thousands of skydives over the last, 20, 30 years. And a couple places up in Chicago. After high school, my mom would go down there and visit, and she kind of just threw me to the airport, and she was like, "Hey, here's a kid, put him to work." Sophomore year in high school, I'd go every weekend down to the drop zone and just do what you would expect out of a high school kid to work, landscaping and just mowing the hundreds of acres, just maintaining, being the garbage boy, so long being around the airplanes all day. And after a while, I'd go up with them and the pilots. And that's kind of what kind of stuck with me, is like every weekend I'd go up a couple times and they'd let me mess around with the controls and fly a little bit. And I'd spend a couple hours a day in the airplane. And you could say that sealed my fate. Sophomore in high school, flying an airplane every weekend, man, that'd be all you need. So, I mean, from there, it was slowly worked my way up. Became more and more interested in aviation. Didn't really get into skydiving too much. I decided to go the aviation route. It clicked more with me, and kind of went out of high school, and I was like, you know what? I walked right out of high school and went right into flight school. It was just one of those in and outs, That's all she wrote.
Nice.
It stuck as a career.
So, where did you go to flight school?
So ATP flight school, they're a chain flight school that's all around the country. It's changed a lot since I went, 10, 12 years ago, but in the Chicago location. And I did all of my ratings in 13 months we call it 0 to hero. So you do the whole course all the way up to your instructor rating, which I opted out of. And I found a job out of flight training, which was very lucky.
Good. So Bill H was asking when you were talking about the skydiving, if he's asking who does he fly with, area and group?
Back in 2012 or current today? If you're talking about today, or
maybe let's go back to 2012.
Okay. Skydive Chicago. Those are the folks I fly with in Ottawa, Illinois. When I say fly with, that's who I grew up with, all the folks down there. Chicagoland Skydiving Center and Skydive Chicago are the two drop zones that I was around when I was growing up.
So is that where you're from also, is the Chicago area?
Chicago area, yeah.
Oh. What suburb?
Born and raised near a small town of Wheaton.
Wheaton. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So after you got a job with a small business, what were you doing?
So I pretty much went, it was really fortunate because of my contacts in skydiving. When I left flight school, you've got your wet ink certificate, you're begging around for a job to fly, whatever it may be. I'll fly for free, give me a job, you know what I mean? A friend of mine actually started up his own skydiving center in Oklahoma, and he offered to have me as his main pilot, and that was my first job. I basically told my parents, I'm like, hey, XYZ is starting up his own drop zone. I'm going to go get a job right away out of flight school, and off I went. So I moved up, packed everything up in the back of the airplane, and flew down to Oklahoma and spent about a year down there, and that was my first actual paying flying job, and it was eye-opening. It was hot summers, but I just was a basic skydive pilot for about a year. But really fortunate, because most people right out of flight school, and it's not easy to get a job right away if you're not an instructor. So I was really happy to have the opportunity.
And what were
Bill
you?
H.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Bill H. wants to know who does he fly with, what area, and what group?
That's what we just answered.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was answering questions. I'm sorry.
You were answering Paramom.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Pay attention there, Deweese.
Oh.
I've done that. It's better a little wine, Randy.
We're already half a glass deep. Okay. We just started.
We only had this much.
It was just a little bit. Oh. All right.
My home brew.
I'm going to keep reading.
Anyway.
What did you fly?
A really old, beat up 182. It was bare metal paint, basic, stripped down to the skeleton with a mat in the back seat for skydivers, and that was it.
Did it have flamingos in there?
It did not have any flamingos.
Right.
It had a bunch of stickers. I mean, there might have been, because the airplane was stickered up with everything on the inside walls. So there could have been. I didn't inspect all the stickers. So.
I just know that there's one in St. Louis that's got flamingos in it.
Oh yeah? Okay.
And I've been invited into it, and I'm like, nope, because you're going to push me out.
That's right.
I gotta say, I did do it a couple times, and it is quite the experience. I would highly recommend.
So, Deweese, Karen says that's the first thing to go, you know. Your
What?
brain.
My brain? Yeah, it's already gone.
All right. And Kyle, Karen's asking, did you ever want to become a commercial pilot?
When I first got into aviation, I didn't know what I wanted to do in aviation. Of course, I ended up getting into it and, straight to American Airlines regionals. But like, when I started off, I was like, no, I don't want to do the airlines. You're just a number in an assembly line. I want to, make relationships and get to know the people I fly with, which is why I gravitated more towards corporate flying. But when I got there, I spent a couple of years in corporate. And it just wasn't something that I could foresee myself doing for a while. It's funny how my entire outlook on aviation and what I wanted to do long term changed after I was able to get a taste of almost every single branch. By the time 2018 rolled around, I was fortunate enough to have done a lot of different kind of flying, and I realized getting into the airlines was probably the best decision I could make, just for a lifelong stability. I don't want to say job security, because good old COVID messed us up pretty good, but you never know when those are going to hit. But I was almost furloughed. But long story long, I didn't think I wanted to get into commercial flying when I was younger. I thought for sure, my parents will tell you, I was going to stick to the fun flying, but got to make some money. So,
Right.
Yeah, when you're young, you don't realize you have to make money to go along with the fun.
Yeah, that's crazy concept. And then suddenly you get your first job and you're living out of state and you're like, oh, this money thing is, I gotta make more.
Yeah.
But
So what kind of flights were you last taking then?
after my skydiving,
Yeah.
so from skydiving, I was offered a really unique opportunity. So through a friend of a friend of a parents of a friend, it's all about who you know in aviation. And I used to laugh at that, but it found out how true it really was.
Mm-hmm.
I was offered a ferry flight to Dubai from the US. So I would literally take an airplane from the US and fly it all the way across the Atlantic, through Europe, northern Africa, hop over Saudi Arabia into Dubai. And that company who offered me that trip was the one that I ended up working for after the trip. It was an eye-opening experience. So that got me into turboprop flying. It was myself and one other guy. His name was Michael. He was a German guy. He does this for a living, and him and I, it's such a long trip. It's like a 55-hour flying time trip. I'm in a small plane, de Havilland Twin Otter, if you're familiar with the airplane or not. It's a very common skydiving aircraft. Mm. And flew that at 13,000 feet over the ocean for 50 hours from basically A to B. We stopped in Bermuda for a day, the Azores for a day, Spain for a day, Greece for a day, quick fuel stop in Cairo. And then we had to hook around all the conflict in northern Saudi Arabia and everything, and in Afghanistan. So we had to go around all that and then up into Saudi Arabia to Abu Dhabi. And that was an insane experience, given that I was so new in aviation. Like I barely even had a couple hundred hours under my belt, and I was offered the opportunity to be a second pilot on that trip. And that was, I don't want to say I would do it again, but I'm glad I did it.
Wow.
So quite the trip. Yeah.
So how long were you in Dubai?
22 hours only. So they didn't want to pay for anything more than they had to, right? Because everything, all costs and hotels were paid for. So we landed. I passed out for at least a solid 8 to 10 hours, and then we woke up the next day, went exploring a little bit, but then my flight back home directly on Etihad Airlines was that same day. So it felt weird taking almost a week and a half to get there and then flying back in like 15 hours and being home. And it was like, man, just a change in experience. Mm. Although economy was not very comfortable for 15 hours. I'd rather take the front seat for that kind of flight.
Right. That place looks amazing though. I mean, with those skydivers, you know, flying over the what are they called? The palm trees.
Yeah, it was really cool. Amazing. Like, and the amount of money that is out there. Like you have a Rolls Royce and you're considered the bottom. I mean, the streets had marble. The part that was the most fascinating was how much money, but then how fast the scenery changed from millionaires to slums. Really? It was like, where do you think all the workers, all the people that make that happen? You'd be walking and suddenly you're like, whoa, where am I? I'm going to make a quick little U-turn here, because like it just changes so dramatically. Yeah, and it's like they have a indoor snow skiing hill in the desert. Yeah. I mean, indoor snow skiing, gigantic palm tree islands that have their own plumbing and just everything. Yeah. Yeah. It was cool to experience. There's no way I would ever make enough to live there. I mean, I blew through my budget and per diem there in like an hour or two. But yeah, it was eye-opening. Fun. Yeah.
Hey, Pete. Karen wants to know, what difference do you see personally between flying a plane versus flying a paramotor?
What got me was the feeling of being so exposed to the elements. Like, I've been to 45,000, 51,000 is the highest I've been in an airliner or in an airplane in general. I've been in small aircraft in the high 10,000s. The first day I climbed to like 8,000 feet in my paramotor, I was like, I feel kind of weird right now. Like, it's just, you're so exposed. And that took me a long time. And I still get a little bit of like, this feels strange to be so high and I can hear the wind around me. I can hear the wing. I can hear things when I shut the motor off. Like, I still get a little bit of the heebie-jeebies up super high, even though there's flying at 10 feet is the same as flying at 8,000 feet, right? But it just feels different because you're so exposed.
Yeah. And I was told, you know, by my instructor, you're safer a lot higher up. So fly higher. So I always flew higher, where my husband flew treetops. And it's like, I was scared of heights. And it's like, I don't know, but
it's so weird you say that, because yes, high altitude is your friend. but I feel more comfortable lower to the ground. I don't know why. I feel so weird doing maneuvers and wing overs and stuff at 3,000 feet. I feel like I lose my reference of the horizon and where I am on the ground when I'm up high. Whereas where I'm down low, I can really have a more reference and I feel just more connected to the ground.
Mm.
It's a really weird feeling. It probably makes no sense, but I find myself more nervous up high.
So what kind of equipment do you got back there?
I have a lovely Iris Infinity. I
Nice.
had a Adventure Pluma, and Adventure, if you guys are aware or not, they went out of business sadly this year or last year. They've been around for 35 years, I think.
Wow.
But they bit the dust. The Pluma was, I had the Adventure Pluma beforehand, the carbon fiber model. It was a really, really fun paramotor. When they went out of business, I wanted something with a little more power too. So I went with the XL on the Iris, which has a little bit more bigger prop. So I'm 6'4", 185 pounds. So having the extra power is super nice for me, and it fits my body better. You know, I'm 6'4", I'm a slinky. So having an extra large frame has been helpful, but I love the Iris. It is a really, really good machine.
Extreme Pete from Colorado says flying low is like flying a speeder from Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had, there's a couple places out here where there's these trees in a channel and it makes me feel like I'm flying through the Death Star Valley in a fighter, because it's like a straight shot with trees on both sides. And the lower you get, the more rush you get. It's pretty cool. I like it.
And Trevor Steele, I don't know if you know him at all.
Mhm.
He says power.
Power. What's up, Trevor?
Hi, Trevor.
Yeah, I do enjoy that power. And I went from a Moster to, I didn't upgrade to a factory R. I stayed with the Moster 185, but I was really blown away at how much more power you get just adding the extra 15 centimeters on that prop. It's a big, big push. And of course, 3-blade too. So
Is it louder?
it's a higher pitch whine, but what sold me was how smooth it was.
Oh,
Like the vibrations in flight are, I don't want to say negligible, but it's a lot less noticeable than the vibrations on a 2-blade.
Trevor says no 202.
I was this close, Trevor. I'm afraid to admit I'm not that mechanically inclined when it comes to maintaining. I was nervous to get a 202. I didn't think I was going to need it. I'm living in the plains, you know, go full send, get a 202 to one. When this Iris has run its course, maybe I will.
Hey, Colby.
I'm just not comfortable enough. I feel like I'd break something on the 202. But
Pete says that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go good.
No, Pete was just saying that he says he calls the 3 blades angry hornets, and I think that's what we kind of thought that they sounded like too.
That's accurate. It definitely has a different pitch from the ground.
So Trevor says that makes 2 of us. Turning a wrench. Never heard of her. She blonde.
Man, oh, I want to. Okay, trust. I'm a power hungry. Just starving for power. I'm getting into. I was talking earlier. I'm getting into some deeper maneuvering. It's been fun. Maybe one day I'll get a 202 in addition to a Moster, but I feel like I should have a Moster just in case the 202 breaks. I don't know how to fix it.
Okay, let's go backwards a little bit. When did you go to paramotor school? Or did you go?
It'll be 2 years this October. I did my training with Sean Elder at Paramotor Flyers in Durant, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And he was actually on with you guys a couple of years ago, I think. So
his wife was.
Sean. Oh, Tiffany. That's right, Tiffany. And I think Sean might have came in at the end, if I saw that correctly.
At that time, we were Girls Just Want to Fly.
The new channel name. Got it.
Yeah.
So Sean is, I found him. I moved down to Texas, and I had initially gotten into paramotors with some friends of mine, aviation friends of mine in Illinois, and they all fly. They have a private strip up in Illinois, and they're all pilots of long years, and they got me into the bug. And then I moved, and I was like, you know what, it's time to get into this and actually get some official training. And I went to Sean, and God, what an awesome dude, awesome place to learn. Highly recommend him. I think he's now running Parajet, I think, on his units, Parajet and Airfers, but great dude. Could not have been more fun. Wide open field. It was rough because I did my training in the heat. So out there running with a kiting in the 100-degree weather was less than ideal. So.
Oh yeah. Parajet.
Yeah. But could not recommend.
PPGflyers.com you can go to for that school. You can check out.
Don't feel so guilty. Trevor said he went back to his 185 from the 202.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know why. Was it because he got tired of tuning it, or was it just because you missed the simplicity? I'm curious.
I don't know. He'll have to answer that. I got to plug
Right,
in.
me? So, Karen wants to know what wing you fly.
So I'm on a Nucleon 4 dudek. I love this thing. I had a dudek. My first wing in training was the Mac Para Charger 1.
Yep.
But it was a 26, so it was really floaty. Good to learn on. Fantastic. And then I switched to the Adventure Flex one that Sean had sitting around. I was going to buy it, but I wanted to go dudek, and I got the dudek solo. I flew that for up until this past 6 months ago, and then I got the Nucleon 4, 22 meter. And I'm about 125 all up, so I'm at the top of the weight range for the 22, and it's fantastic. I think I'm becoming a dudek, whatever you want to call it. But it's a great wing. Yeah, it's a great wing. It launches fantastic. And I was pleasantly surprised how much this thing will rip around. I mean, I've been doing some super steep spirals, deep wing overs, getting that wing below me. It's been a lot of fun. I was surprised how much I could actually get out of this thing. And it's efficient too. Whenever I want to just let the trims out and go, it's efficient.
So Trevor said someone offered me money to buy mine, so I said okay, and off she went. And I had to buy 4 more training motors.
So you're saying you would have kept it?
But money talks.
Money does talk, and yeah. I was this close to getting the factory R, but the budget didn't allow it at the time, so I just went with the plain Moster.
So, where have you been? Have you gone to any fly-ins?
Not yet.
Plan on going to any?
Endless Foot Drag is coming up this year. It's about a 6-hour, 5.5-hour drive from me.
Okay.
But I did just recently find out, and this is news, and I'm telling you guys as I found out today, is that I'm going to be moving back to Chicago. So hopefully, if I can move back after the fly-in, I'll go. But I don't really have a camper. I don't have a trailer. I don't have anything or any means of traveling with the Paramotor right now. Kind of difficult for me to go to fly-ins. I really want to, but I don't want to sacrifice me living in a tent for a week. Sorry, call me a baby, but I don't really want to do that. I'd rather be comfortable. So I have not been to an official fly-in quite yet. It's on my bucket list. Maybe this year or next year will be the first year I can make one.
Okay.
I saw some videos be featured on what's that guy's name? Ripman Riding over at Bad Apples to be featured in one of his videos. Would be pretty cool one day. But I think for now, whenever I can get the chance, I'll go. But for now, it's out of the question.
Okay. Well, if we ever get down there, we've got plenty of room. So I know it's like I'd still like to get there. So we'll see.
Scuba says shack up with a bud or rent an RV.
Yeah.
Yes, Scuba, renting an RV is on the table for Endless Foot Drag. It's not for sure, but I think if it'll happen, I'm going to buy an RV for the weekend, drive up, and have some fun.
Yeah. Karen says buying an RV comes along with the sport. Very
Why do
true.
I feel like it's an RV? It's a one wheel or an electric scooter of some kind. Your
Yep.
paramotor, and then maybe one of those.
Or Honda Grams.
Yeah, or there's one more thing, but I think it's like a one wheel electric scooter combo. You got to have that, and you have to try and launch with yourself on the one wheel. That's what I keep hearing.
See ya, Trevor. Oh, all right. Craig B is in here and he says hi, Wheezy. Hi, Craig.
Said hi.
Oh. So do you want to touch on anything else?
Well,
Do you want me to?
can kind of talk through. I could try to talk through where I went after that trip to Dubai, and kind of go through where I am and why I'm doing, and where I am right now and why I'm in Texas. So to touch on where I went after that ferry flight to Dubai. So I ended up working with that company for about 2 years after that trip. Whoa. After that trip to Dubai, and get knocked out by my mic. And they do paratrooper training for the Air Force, Marines, Army, all over the country and in Canada as well. And it was a really cool experience to go fly for them, because what the Air Force and military does is they offer, they realized how cheap it was to fly civilian aircraft for their training. So they were like, wow, this is way cheaper than flying a whole, C-130 for your training courses. So they loaned us out as a contractor to the Air Force and all these different companies. And I got to meet some pretty cool people. We would do, we'd fly different bases around the U.S. We'd do tactical insertion courses and all these cool things for the SEALs, the Golden Knights, parachute team, all these cool different things. And it was really cool. The only hard part was that you didn't make money if you weren't flying, and you had to be gone a lot. So I'd be gone for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, maybe at a time. You go home for, a week or two, and then you're right back out again. So like, if you weren't with the airplane and traveling with the airplane, you were not making any money. So being away was definitely difficult. Even though I was single and I had no ties, you just get tired after a while. So did that, and then decided in 2017 that it was time to try something new. And that was when I got my first jet job. I got to move down to Florida, and I flew for a corporate charter carrier in Florida, in Naples. And we flew something called the Phenom 300. It was in that, the intro video, the black and gold looking lightning jet.
Oh, okay.
And we flew that all over the place. It was tip of South America, Central America, all the way out to the islands, out West Coast, Canada. I mean, anywhere that you could think of in the Americas, we went to. And it was a pretty decent schedule. It was a startup company, so pretty new, building clientele, but hectic schedule, 5-6 days on the road, 1 or 2 days off, 5 or 6 days on the road, 1 day off. It was just always out. So it took me 4 months of living in Florida before I even got to the beach. It's like to go look and hang out at the beach. So
Wow.
yeah, it was cool. I look back on that, and that was definitely some fun flying. I got crazy places we went to, and the airplane was really cool too. We had the full glass cockpit screens, the touch screen panels, all that fancy stuff. So from there, a friend of mine who flew at the same company, he made the jump to say, I'm going to the airlines. I don't want this life. And he did. And he took me a year of convincing me to say, come on over. Like, you're going to like it over here. You're going to like it more. You're going to like it more. And I was like, no, this is a lot of fun. I want to keep flying. This is a cool job. This is very unique and personal. I don't want to become just a number in some assembly line, flight line. And then after a year of convincing, 2019, I gave my notice and got hired at an American Airlines regional carrier. And that's all she wrote. Been there ever since. Based in Chicago, and up until about a year and a half ago, I was active flying status, but sadly, I got hit with a medical issue, and it took me off the flight line, sadly. And I've been fighting that ever since. But it'll be 2 years coming up here in about a month or two. So
I'm sorry to hear
unfortunately,
that.
yeah, I mean, thank you. It's paramotoring has it's saved my love for aviation and flying. This is the last way that I'm able to fly again. I've done nothing but fly airplanes my entire life. It's the only job I had. And to be doing it for over a decade and then find out one day that you can't, it was rough. And it was also kind of the jump start that got me into paramotoring, because my friends all did it before this happened to me. And when it happened, I took some time off. Luckily, I found a job in the meantime through a friend of mine that I'm working down here in Texas right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very fortunate to get in the front door with a friend of mine. Not many people can say that they lost their whole career, but were able to get a job within a few months and pay your bills, which was extremely fortunate. And did that. And then as soon as I picked up paramotoring, I was like, wow, I'm not grounded anymore. You know, I can go up wherever I want to go to. I can experience flying again. One day I hope to get back into aviation. I think I will. It's just going to take some time with the FAA to go through all the thousands of dollars and useless tests and paperwork and dealing with the antiquated system, you know. So I think I'll get back to flying status one day, but whether I go back to flying as a career, I think those days are behind me.
Okay. Are you willing to share what happened, or?
Yeah. So man, it was crazy. I was 28 and yeah, not perfect health. Who the hell's in perfect health, right? But
Right.
like all things, the way this hit me, I had no idea this would ever happen to me, and I got diagnosed with MS. It affected my vision, so I ended up losing almost all of my vision in my one eye over the course of a couple months. It just hit me one night. I woke up and I was like, "Huh, what is this?" And I brushed it off for a while, and then fast forward 2 weeks, 3 weeks, getting worried, started seeing more doctors and doctors and doctors, and then a couple months later, it was almost, gone, and that's all she wrote. And after a couple months of tests, it was just kind of narrowed down, sadly. So as soon as that diagnosis came through, I was due for my medical exam, of course, the same time. So it's not like I could have gotten the medical and then figured it out later. Like, I literally couldn't see. So
is your vision back now?
Yeah, it's been back. I'm on treatments. Yeah, everything is amazing. I'm almost back to normal. It's not perfect. It's never going to be back to 100%. I'd say it's 90%. The way it works is it kind of damages you, and you can't really fix that. It doesn't come back. So,
okay.
But I'm fantastic. I nothing wrong anymore. I can read. It's 2020 again, but good old FAA in their old times and having to go through all these tests.
Yep. Bill says FAA are not fair to some pilots for small red tape things.
Yeah, it really bugs me. Not only my condition, considering I was treated and I'm on recurring treatments for the rest of my life now, but these treatments are keeping it at bay. And I'm foot launching a paramotor, for crying out loud. Like, I'm fine. And the FAA still doesn't see me fit to fly. Even class 3, I can't even fly GA. I'm completely grounded from everything. And I'm in the process with my union still. I'm on a 5-year leave with my airline, and we're still fighting it. Every couple months I get a word back from them. It's you need this, you need that test, So we'll see where it goes. I'm hoping one day to get just at least a basic med, and be allowed to fly GA or something along those lines. But it's been 2 years or a year and a half with 0 flare-ups, 0 nothing. I've been completely clean and
Good.
happy for that. Extremely happy.
Yeah. Karen says MS flares up unexpectedly without warnings. So, but if you haven't had anything with medication right now, that's good.
Yeah, that's how it happened when it first hit me out of nowhere, just like a switch and boom.
Wow.
Good. We'll see.
So young for that to happen.
Yeah, kind of. I was looking forward to a little bit more than just a couple of years of a career in an airline. I had 35 years ahead of me, but we'll see where the next 35 years take me.
Right. All right. So, Dweese, what do you got? Anything? You're on mute.
That was because there was some noise up here.
Oh,
No, I can't think of anything.
okay.
And I don't see any questions in the chat.
Am I that boring?
No. No, I think you've covered it, a lot of it. It's been very interesting.
Karen, I was just kind of going to say the same thing. It's like she said, everything happens as it should. And people have told me that my stuff happened for a reason and I survived for a reason. So I just got to figure out why.
Yeah, there's just another plan. It's just you weren't meant to be an aviator as far as flying GA or a commercial or whatever. There's something else planned.
And it's hard to figure
It's
that
hard
one
to
out.
take. It's
I
hard to
couldn't
take.
figure out what that was up until recently, and I think I maybe have the answer. And hopefully, my girlfriend doesn't mind me bringing her into this conversation. But she's been insane support for me over the last few years. Losing my entire career and bouncing back in a corporate job, and we're flying a desk, and
Yeah.
she's on her way in medical school to become a doctor, and in the Air Force. And knowing that kind of future lies ahead, it would be difficult for us to maintain a relationship when I have to be tied to a base airport somewhere where she's going to have to be moving across the country and possibly overseas.
There you go.
And this job allows me to work remote, and I can move around with her, and we can kind of start our lives together more. And all things happen for a reason, you say. Maybe this was the reason why that happened, to get me out of aviation, and now I have the freedom to go start a family, wherever we end up.
I was just going to say, you could make the babies and stay home with them. Sorry, kidding.
No, that's been discussed. Don't you worry. All I want to do is go fly that thing every now and again,
Well, you get them into the daycare, and then you go fly.
Yes, yeah, there you go. That's exactly it.
And what does your girlfriend think of you flying one of those contraptions?
She thinks I'm crazy, but she knows I love it, and she knows that I'm going to be safe, even though I do all my little maneuvers and stuff. But she knows I'm going to be safe. I try to take my years of aviation safety knowledge and apply that to paramotoring as best I can. I learned a lesson that we are flying a cloth one day when there was some rain around, and I'm never going to do that again. Yeah, not getting the wing wet, but I got caught in some cloud suck one day, and that was like the last day I realized. I'm like, if there's a drop of rain anywhere, I'm on the ground.
Yeah.
But she's been supportive, and she knows that this is my last ditch effort. I don't belong on the ground. I belong in the sky. So,
well, maybe you can train other people to get up into the sky at some point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's cool to share this. It's cool. Yeah. It's cool the folks I've met in this community, like yourselves, just impromptu. It's been a pretty fun time.
Yeah, I reached out to him, and he's like, "Where'd you find me?" I don't know.
I didn't mean that in a bad way. I was like, have I made my channel big now? It's like my 89 subscribers have reached out across the country.
Just Wisconsin. Oh, no, I saw you somewhere. I don't know. I'm just searching. Constantly searching for you people. Looking for new friends and new stories.
Yeah, there,
So-
Karen said, I only fly in perfect condition and I fly high. Yes, that's a good idea. Fly
There
high,
have been,
for sure.
oh my gosh, there have been so many, like Texas, you don't get very many smooth nights. It's always bumpy. Even at sunset, it's always bumpy. But every now and again, you get that butter smooth night. The flag is just straight down. You can take off and fly any direction, and nothing is upwind or downwind, and just glass. And my goal this year is to climb to 10,000 feet, turn the motor off, and watch the sunset at 10,000 feet, and just be in complete silence.
Cool.
Watch out for commuter jets.
Luckily, north of Texas, there's not much out there, but yeah, good call. Shout out to Gaggle. Good old Gaggle keeping me safe with the air traffic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Put lots of lights on your paramotor.
Oh, I do. I could go flip it on. I have a gigantic, you can't see it here, but I have a red ring around my entire motor.
Oh,
It's
good.
a 24-volt LED ring. It blinks. So
Oh, go turn it on. You should have it on.
here,
Yeah.
let me see. Hold on.
Sure.
We want to see it. Oh, wow, that's bright.
Nice.
Very nice.
Too bright for the camera, but
That was bright.
yeah.
Come here.
This has
So-
been fun. Yeah, this
Yeah.
has been great. I appreciate it. This is great to meet all of you. I'm happy you brought me on.
Yeah. Hi, Tedward.
Oh, say hi, Mom. Say hi, Mama.
So how long ago was your, and I was doing some digging around Facebook stalking, if you don't mind, but how long ago was your accident?
1 year ago yesterday.
And how are you recovering, if you don't mind me asking? I mean,
I'm all right. Let's see. I've got that background here. Hang on. I'm in a boot.
okay.
The hardware in that foot broke.
Like the nails and stuff, the screws, or
Yep.
The
Oof.
plate. I think it's a plate that broke, isn't it?
A chain, and a bunch of like pins type. Like they look like nails. Broke. I think there's maybe one or two that did not break. We're not sure how.
repeat surgery, or
He says he can take out the hardware. Then I would have to have another external fixator on, but it would go up towards my knee where I had 2 bars drilled into my shin bone. And then was it 2 or 3 going in the sides of my foot? And then when we were at EAA last year, I found out that the black metal bars that are going into my foot, they heat up in the sun. And it cooked me from the inside out
oh my gosh.
at EAA, and I started screaming down down one of the runways, or not runways, but one of the walking paths,
Ow.
and can't get your foot wet. So Randy Deweese's husband had a chamois, and we got that wet and put that on over me, and we just kept going. And I was in
Wow.
my husband found me an electric wheelchair, so I was in that. So I use that to bum around the house here and plant flowers, feed my chickens, and so that's how I get around. And then I drive Eric nuts with being in my manual wheelchair yet, because my right leg my femur was fractured 8 places right above my knee, and then the whole main shaft midway was completely cracked diagonally. And they put a plate in that day that I crashed, and that plate the doctor thought was bending, and he wanted to put a titanium rod in. So it on a 4-day school weekend, I couldn't get 2 weeks off unpaid leave from work. So my doctor said, well, we'll just do it in 4 days. And I did it, and I was back to work on Tuesday. And so
Jeez,
I've
what a
got,
trooper.
yeah, yeah. So they did bone grafting because he was worried. I mean, one of the last, I posted it in yesterday's, I think it was the most recent pictures of my femur. They offset it so much, and he says they always do that, but that way it'll grow back together. But my femur was, and they're choking me down with protein shakes, and I'm drinking them, while I wasn't working, and nothing was just healing, in that leg. But then they did bone grafting with cadaver bone ground up with my what is that? What's the stuff in between the bone?
Sarah?
It's a question
Marrow.
for my girlfriend.
Yeah, bone marrow. And so they drilled some of that out and then mixed it up, and then they made it like a paste, and then that's bone grafting. So, and then they smeared that all over on my femur, and now it's finally starting to grow back, finally, as of
Yeah.
about 4 weeks ago, the last update I had. And that's when I also found out that the hardware in my foot was broke.
Been through a lot in the last year. My gosh.
Yeah.
What's the road to recovery looking like then for, I mean,
Is your girlfriend
timeline?
Kelly?
Yes. There she
She answered bone marrow. Kelly. What's the what?
What's the timeline like? Have they given you a timeline or like your expected recovery, or I mean,
Oh, they
just
told
see
me
how
I'd be back to work last September when I got out of rehab at the hospital after 32 days. They told me I'd be walking. I'm
Jeez.
barely walking. I'm on crutches yet and in a wheelchair. And I mean, I hobble around a little bit, and no, it was like kind of like broken promises. You don't tell somebody that you're going to be better.
And then you're not after
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah. Oh,
I wish nothing but the best for you. That's
thank you.
that's rough. It's things like it's stories like that, and especially after the whole Anthony situation and other folks, it just happens. Can happen to anybody, and definitely something that I need to remind myself of as progress and continue in the sport.
Yeah.
Aaron's got a question.
Yep. And I just, and with you being a newer pilot and as young as you are, and when I told you just be safe before the show, doing this stuff, I truly mean it. I mean, I did mini micro wingovers, and I was just taking off that day. And we think I missed a line on a Mac Paracharger. I went back to my original wing and missed it on a pulley that was not being used, and about this much line. And when I went up, all I wanted to do was get above the trees, and then I was going to turn around because I could tell I was having to weight shift, and I knew something wasn't right. And it just, something happened, and I think they figured when I let the gas off, that's when the line snapped. I think it was a D line that snapped, and it just sent me into a spiral down. I was about 150 feet above the trees. So, and there's no time to throw up my reserve. So,
Well, you're here with us,
yeah.
and for what it's worth, I'm glad you're here with us.
So, and you say 3,000 feet, please go higher when you're doing your goofy stuff. Okay.
I do. And the first thing I did when I bought this Paramotor is I got a big fat reserve too. So
Because there was 2 fatalities this past weekend on paramotors. So,
Oh yeah, I heard about one of them.
and we don't know, I don't think about one for sure, and I don't know about the other. I think I just read a little bit about the second one last night later or this morning. So, and I was shocked to hear 2 of them. So just please, everybody, just watch how you set up, and I'm going to be that person to drill that into everybody's head. So I know Wendy Weaver, she says she always she always thinks of me as she's setting up. So she's one of my good friends from Pennsylvania. And she says she always thinks of me when she's setting up, in the extra, little checks now. So
Rightfully so.
yeah. So we've got a question. Karen Close is asking, do plane pilots look out for us mosquitoes in the air?
Good question. So when we're down low, our attention is definitely more outside scanning than we are up high. It's pretty difficult to spot a paramotor pilot from an airplane, especially how fast you're traveling. I know there was that incident a couple of years ago in Texas here where the GA pilot collided with the paramotor. We are difficult to spot, which is why I am a massive advocate for like flights like Gaggle, apps like Gaggle that have live air traffic, especially now where fixed wing aircraft are required to have ADS-B more and more these days. That having something to tell you where airplanes are around you is paramount to our safety and the longevity of the sport, because the more we can be good advocates for safety, I feel paints a better picture for the FAA and paints a better picture for us long-term in the future. So learning where you are, learning if you're aviation inclined, if you're aviation inclined to learn like where the main air traffic routes are near you. For example, Dallas-Fort Worth is huge with airline traffic, but I know being in aviation for so long, I know where the arrival routes are. So I always stay clear of those areas and offset by a couple miles each way. But when it comes to me or other pilots looking out the window for us little mosquitoes, going to be difficult to spot. You'll see it, but it's going to be too late to make anything change. So just like with the accident, that guy from the report I recall saw him, but couldn't, like it was
Right.
at the last second. So download some apps, be traffic aware, especially flying near airspace. And that's the best advice I could give to just protect yourself.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't seen, we did have a Gaggle show on, and where we had the maker of Gaggle, the inventor of Gaggle,
Yeah.
on our show. So you can go back and watch that too.
Good dude. And he allowed me to be part of the testing group with the app to help kind of shape what it was in the beginning. And if there's something you guys want that he doesn't have right now, I guarantee you, send him a message, talk about it, and you could probably get it added. He's a big person for safety. He even won an award or was recognized by, I think, the European Safety Administration or Aviation, EASA, for his steps to make this sport safer. Can't recall if that's exactly what it was. I might be butchering it, but yeah, he was recognized not too long ago.
So Chris here is asking, I want to know if a Paramotor pilot using Gaggle can be seen on ForeFlight.
So no, to my knowledge, now I haven't used ForeFlight in a long time, admittedly, but to my knowledge, you have to have an ADS-B out transmitter on yourself to be visible on Gaggle. Gaggle is ADS-B in, so you're not going to see own ship data on ForeFlight. That might have changed, but that's the way I understand it. But if you were to buy like an ultralight transponder, you would then show up on ForeFlight and be seen. But we have no way of transmitting out to ADS-B.
Okay.
It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. All right. And Karen says she's getting a reserve.
Good.
And she says also Gaggle is pretty robust now. Yep. Definitely.
I love it. And reserve, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit hesitant, like, it's another $1,000 for a reserve or $900, whatever it is. And I thought to myself, is my life worth a second chance at life worth $900? Yeah.
Yeah. Karen wants to know how much a transponder costs.
To be honest, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
Couple thousand at
Yeah.
least. And it's a big chunky thing. So not within the reach of, plus you have to be registered. You have to have a tail number. It's a whole FAA process, and you're basically an aircraft at that point. So I don't know what sort of legal boundaries you have to cross. I know that they're thinking there's recent strides to make ADS-B out available to ultralights. I know that that's a conversation that I recall reading about not too long ago. I don't know where the FAA is on that, but that would be a really cool thing. I just don't know what sort of cost it's going to come with, not only in dollars, but also in regulation. We are regulated, but not regulated very much. And I worry about us requiring ADS-B, what that's going to do for us long-term in the rule book, if that makes sense. So.
Okay. All right. We are at an hour. That went quick.
I talk too much.
No. I just put the code out there. Karen says our sport should have something to show everyone where we are. Yeah.
Would be ideal.
Yeah. Because there's becoming more and more of us up there now.
Sport is growing, and because training is optional, it's definitely a concern. You know, who's going to be the first one to fly into some airspace and get everybody in trouble and ruin it? You know, all it takes is one. You know, definitely agree with you, Karen.
Yep. All right. Anybody else got any questions for Kyle at all? If not, I did put a code in the chat, and you guys can log in using Google Chrome. And I think you said, you didn't really answer. Are you willing to stick around for a few minutes?
Oh yeah, of course.
Anybody wants to join?
Yeah, by all means.
All right. And don't forget, we're having our Northern Lights Paramotor Fly-In car show and plane show June 28th, 29th, and 30th at Tomahawk Airport. So if you got an airplane and you want to come up and go to TKTV, you can get a hold of myself or my husband, Eric, and we'll let you know the details on that. Or if you got an old-time car you want to show off, or a paramotor, and $25 for camping. Otherwise, thank you, Kyle, for hanging out with us and getting you at the last minute.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you guys reached out. I'm pretty cool. I appreciate you guys letting me share my story, and for the folks watching, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So just stick around, and in 2 weeks, again, we have not shut down, as you can tell, because there was talk last night that we weren't even broadcasting anymore. But yes, we are, and we are giving everybody a break every other week. So this was our week on, and we'll be back again on June 19th, and we have Ryan Potter. He is a PPG pilot from North Carolina. So he will be on. So, and no, we have not shut down. So anyway, stick around.
And come join us every 2 weeks. Come in the chat with us, or come join us on the show.
Yeah.
If you'd like to, Kyle.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And we'll keep in touch and see if you want to join in on a show sometime.
This was great. I'd be honored.
Awesome. All right, stick around. You guys have a good night. Thank you for joining. And remember, fly safe.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
We make new friends. We fly with new friends, flying up high in the sky. With a paramotor back, soaring an airplane high above the clouds. Paragliding off a mountain, oh wings sweet, flying like a flying squirrel, so beautiful and graceful. Jumping out of airplanes, yes we are all crazy, but we can smile 'cause we are all friends. We make new friends. We fly with new friends, flying up high in the sky. With a paramotor